Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Golfing Dads. It's Tuesday, so you know what time it is. It's time to talk some golf.
Everybody's favorite time of the week.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Well, a lot has gone on this week. For a non-major week, wow, there's the monorail just pulled up. Steve already left. That took 2 seconds, and Steve's already gone. But a lot happened this week, and we got a lot to talk about on tonight's show. First off, last week's event, the CJ Cup, the Byron Nelson Classic, was an amazing event, and we'll get into that this week. We're also going to talk about what happened at the PGA of America. There's been some changes at the top and what that means moving forward. There was a golf ball survey that rolled out this week to the players and talk about rollback. That's what we're talking about. We're going to talk more about that today as well. But we will first get started with the CJ Cup, and what a week it was.
Now I can't hear you. Hold on. What just happened? What is going on tonight? Oh. All right, Greg, you there? I don't know what's going on right now. Can you hear me? Oh, microphone. All right, can you hear me now?
Can you hear me, Steve?
Now I can hear you. Okay, now
Okay,
we're good.
I don't know what's going on with this right now. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, yeah.
Okay, now you can hear me. All right, so I don't know if anyone could hear me for the first few minutes on there.
Technical difficulties. Please stand by. What are we doing?
Oh, yeah, this is a great start to our show this week. So, all right.
I think it's the fact that we're wearing some great golfish apparel that makes us look like twins today.
We are twinning. We are the scramble team that penciled with you with the fake score.
Don't call Yip Strickler, please.
Yeah, don't call Yip. Yip already knows us, so
yes. So
Steve has plenty of white belts.
I do. I have 2 of them actually.
All right, Steve, let's get right into the Byron Nelson this week. What did you think of? Let's just start with what a lot of people were talking about: 30 under par.
You give PGA Tour players lift, clean, in place for 3 straight days on soft condition golf courses where they can't get them firm and fast, where they can be way more aggressive with a driver and know that it's going to sit in a fairway. I'm going to be honest with you. I think Dave could break 85 in those conditions.
That would be pretty interesting if Dave's breaking 85 in those conditions from those tees. But To be honest, I like going from a week where at the PGA Championship, as our guest Ryan last week made it blatantly clear, was some of the
Mm-hmm.
toughest conditions on the PGA Tour in PGA Tour history.
Yes.
I think going to an event like this, where you got to see almost a birdie fest, was a nice
Yes.
change of pace a little bit. I don't mind
Yep.
events like this. I don't want to see
Mm-hmm.
this every week, but
No.
from time to time. And not only was it like one person running away with it, you had 30 under par, 27 under par, 25, 23, 22. There were a lot of people right up there in contention with it as well. So it wasn't like someone just ran away with it and it was just someone having a great time. The course played easy for them, not probably for the rest of us, but for tour professionals, like you said, with lift clean in place.
Here's my question. And everyone complains when they take it deep on the PGA Tour, easy golf course, this, that, the other, on a golf course that had just been renovated and they put 25 million into it. And I actually think I really like the redesign. I think they did a great job with the redesign. I think at some point, Scotty said this a couple years ago in Hartford. These guys are that good.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
at what point do you just tip your hat and be like, man, great week, you made a bunch of birdies? Like, I want to go out and shoot 28 on the back nine like Wyndham did, and literally, I'd love to shoot 28 on 9 holes of golf. I can tell you that I've never done it. I think my closest, I think I shot 31 on the back nine one time. But again, it's hard to shoot 28 on 9 holes of golf anyway, and to take it low. It's
well, and
not
that's
easy.
no, and having that consistency over 4 days to shoot it this low for those 4 days is great. And it's fun to see. It's not easy, and they are that good. And you look at
Right.
this, I just looked at Harbortown because Harbortown had the same thing that the Byron Nelson had, is right after they played last year, they went through some renovations
Mm-hmm.
and they're playing a similar course, but it has some new
Mm-hmm.
nuances to it as well. And that was 18 under was the winning score at Harbortown. So you get to these events that are not the majors, they're not the Masters, they're
Mm-hmm.
not the PGA Championship that we've played so far this year. Those are
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be tougher. Those are supposed to be the single digit events. These are the events that I want to see them basically hit it long and score because that's what we want to see on these events. At the majors, I want to see them struggle, not to the way that they
Right.
were struggling so much at the PGA, but I want to see them have a tougher test of golf.
So let me ask you this, Greg. And again, take into consideration how wet the golf course was and that they played lift clean in place for 3 days. Without that, if they didn't get any rain this week and the golf course was playing firm and fast, where do you think that number comes in at instead of 30?
I think in the 20 range, I think is where it still comes in at there. I
Mhm.
think it depends on the green condition. They were sinking putts, the best that were playing out there. Wyndham Clark was putting like lights out this weekend.
Wyndham Clark looked like he was using that putter from Caddyshack that Rodney Dangerfield had. Albert
With
Einstein gave me this.
with the not the Billy Baru, but the putting that was going on out there was great. So I
Mhm.
still think the scores would have been high, but we all know when you're out there and you're playing in something and you hear lift clean in place, you're like, all right, like you perk up a little bit for lift clean in place because you know you have those preferred lies. It's a lot better. You can clean your golf ball off and it makes it uh, that much better. Now, it wasn't always lift clean in place out there because what I want to talk about next is what a lot of fans were mad about was our champion this week took a little too much time, in my opinion, as well, on number 10 about a mud ball. And he said he was in standing water and casual water, and there's video from the PGA Tour, from all the fans that are there. There was no standing water there. But he
No.
asked the rules official, and then he got a second opinion, and he made the leaders stand on the tee. Not the leader, but the final group stand on the tee that were the leaders coming into this. Stand on the tee and wait for him to get this ruling because he was in the middle of the fairway. What is your takeaway from this? Was this a sportsmanship faux pas, or was this a, hey, I'm just trying to get my ruling and I'm going to do what I want?
I'm trying to be very careful in answering this question.
Well, let me ask you. I want to say this because also there was a interesting rule that doesn't get put into place a lot, but is the rule of why Scotty was in the final group versus Wyndham when they both shot
that
the
one,
same thing.
I didn't have a problem with that one. I'll be honest
Well,
with
that
you.
rule makes sense,
That
but
rule made sense. He
it
teed
usually
off
doesn't
first.
happen that it has to come down to like that minute of a.
Do I think there was some gamesmanship in the 10th fairway? I 100% think there was some gamesmanship in the 10th fairway.
Okay.
My bigger problem is, though, you got to hit golf shots. Scotty didn't drive it great on the back nine. He hit it in too many bunkers. Siwoo didn't hit it close enough on the back nine. You still got to hit golf shots. And these guys have such a good ability where this isn't us going out and getting stuck because we all play fast. I mean, I don't know that in our group there's a practice swing in any of us anyway. Like, we're not taking full practice swings in the group with us anyway. But it's not getting stuck behind somebody playing slow and getting frustrated. These guys are good enough that they have the ability to literally lock in and hit a golf shot. Doesn't matter when. Give me a club, go through my routine, and I'm going to hit a shot.
Well, and if you're looking at the scores here too, it's not like their scores went down and it looked like they were affected if you're just staring at the scores here. So I don't think anyone was affected by it. But do you think it was the right thing to do by Wyndham to not only, you called one official over, he gave you a ruling, you didn't like it, so you went and got a second opinion and took more time. That's the second opinion is where I have the problem.
They have the right on tour to do that, and I'm not going to
do.
question that. They have the right on tour to do that. Now, that being said, we're talking about a guy who broke a locker at Oakmont.
That's right. I forgot about that.
I mean, if you don't think he's going to be the guy, and again, I don't want to take anything away from him shooting 28 in the back nine. I don't. Like, you golfed the ball in the back nine. I will tip my cap to you shooting 20 in the back nine. But he hadn't won since 2024 at Pebble Beach. It had been over 2 years that he'd won on the PGA Tour. And everything since then has been very negative about Wyndham Clark.
Is he low-key becoming a villain on tour?
He broke a locker at Oakmont.
I get that. He's a villain. Like, are fans turning on Wyndham Clark in a sense here? Because of this ruling, fans turned on him really quickly. As you said, he broke a locker at Oakmont, but he had an amazing round. And to be honest, he doesn't come across as a villain. I don't think he does. But
he's not Bryson in the Bryson Brooks saga.
No, he's not. And he's not Captain America. He's not Sergio. He's not like these villains that were just angry while they were on tour. I mean, you did do worse than any of those by breaking a locker at Oakmont. Let's call it what it is.
Right.
But and being a past US Open champion and doing it at the US Open was even worse, I think.
I'm going to agree with that. That's a fair statement. I just think that at this point, when you look at what he has, again, you shoot 30 under this week. Like, on a golf course that has been notorious as a birdie fest anyway. I don't want to take away from that. I don't. Like, that's my problem with this in this conversation is, do I think there was gamesmanship? Yes. Do I think it could have been avoided? Yes. Like, let's be real. We all know the standing water ruling. Everybody does. If not, you can go back and ask Sam Burns about the standing water ruling at Oakmont. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like, and I thought, okay, if you want to compare the two, Sam Burns got hosed on the standing water ruling at Oakmont.
Yeah.
This was the right ruling.
Yes, 100%. I do agree with that.
If I'm Sam Burns at Oakmont saying I want a second opinion from a rules official, I understand that one. This one, I will agree the second opinion was kind of a stretch.
Like, you can see there's not like, when you're trying to jump up and down and prove there's standing water and it's still not proving that
It's
there's
not
standing
even
water.
jumping up and down though, because the rule itself states that you're just standing there and taking a stance if water comes up. That's the rule. It wasn't happening. It
Exactly,
was
that's my point. Like, if you have to jump up and down,
yeah,
you're
yeah,
you're going above what the rule calls for.
right.
So, all right, let's move on. Congratulations to Wyndham Clark. It was an amazing feat you did this week. I don't want to take away from that, but low key, you're becoming kind of a villain on tour. I'd like to see you turn that around because I kind of like Wyndham Clark, and I still want Wyndham to win the Wyndham. I'm still rooting for that.
Yeah,
So
he needs to show up and play it. Like, let's
I
be
know
real.
he just
He
needs
needs to
to.
play the
Wyndham needs to win the Wyndham. We just need
yes.
that to happen. Speaking of kind of a low key villain, not really a villain, but kind of is playing the scapegoats. The PGA of America made a change at the top. And a lot of it has to do with not just the play of the Ryder Cup, but the reaction to how America treated the Europeans at the Ryder Cup. So,
I
Steve,
there's
what's
been a
your take
lot
on this
on
change?
there's been a lot on social media. I follow a lot of golf professionals and a lot of PGA members. My first opinion on this is this change shouldn't have come after the PGA. It should have come after the Ryder Cup.
Should have
Is my
been
first
this should have been
opinion.
done sooner, in your opinion.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. What happened at the Ryder Cup? The fact that Don did not apologize about the whole Rory McIlroy incident where they had this MC on the first tee chanting curse words about Rory McIlroy. This should have happened long before because of the way he acted and didn't apologize to Rory McIlroy during the Ryder Cup. Now, that being said, I have a ton of respect for the PGA of America and what they do and for our club professionals. I think a lot of club professionals are happy, but a lot of club professionals are saying, what direction do they go in? That they haven't been really happy with the direction that the PGA has taken, the PGA president has taken on behalf of them. And while they struggle with that, I think there's a bigger issue here going forward that this next president, whoever it may be, really needs to take a long, hard look at what they're doing and what they're trying to accomplish. And that being said, I don't know what the answer is. I really don't.
That's why you're not in the running for this job.
No, I'm not in the running for this position. I do think that one of the things that the PGA Tour has done well, and I think part of it is because of Tiger's presence on the board, and because they put more focus on the board and the pack, is they have valued the players more. And I do think that the PGA of America needs to look at their members and their rank and file as they move forward in selecting the next president of the PGA as to how do they make this a successful move.
Well, I think you're right there, and I think the main thing that they need to look at is what we talk about all the time. No, Bradley, if anyone, there's another person on the show that should be president of the PGA. But what they need to look at is how do they continue to grow the game and keep moving forward in a positive direction with the game. And I think you hit the nail on the head there, Steve, is they need to look at their members. Yes, Bradley, Dave. They need to look at their members and they need to see what they're looking for, what they're seeing from their clubs out there, because that's what the PGA of America is. It is a group of PGA professionals
Yeah.
that all try to help make this game better by
Yep.
teaching and growing the game of golf. And they are the heart of what the PGA is. So
Yep.
you need someone that's going to look at this and say, okay, here's what our core is, here's what we stand for, here's what we do. And I think that was the biggest fault here for Don Ray was that when you had a PGA professional in Rory McIlroy, who, yes, he's playing for Team Europe, the team that's against the PGA of America, but you don't treat other players like that. That's the one thing you learn in golf first and foremost is that you respect everyone out there. That's why you shake hands after a match. That's why you take your hat off at the end of a match with someone. You treat people with respect. And as Americans, we did not do that. And he didn't kind of call us out for that. He let it
Yep.
happen and he let other people kind of take the fall and blame for that. But when you're the
Yep.
leader, you have to take the blame and responsibility sometimes. And this new
Yep.
president, whoever it is, needs to come in, needs to take a good look at everything and help the
Yep.
PGA of America grow in what we hope to, because we love the PGA of America and can't wait to see where it continues to go.
Yep. I would agree with that. We'll talk tour schedule.
Yeah, let's talk this 2027 tour schedule because
There's some
it's
announcements today that I got wind of.
getting interesting.
And I think part of it is my algorithm living in Central Florida. Let's be real about it.
True.
All of a sudden, I called you because all of a sudden, like 10 minutes after it got posted on the Arnold Palmer Bay Hill Invitational site, Bay Hill has been moved to the week of the 15th to the 21st of March. Now, Bay Hill has always fell into the first week in March. And I thought it was an interesting move because now I think it puts it after the Players. And I was trying to figure out what was going on, which would have been Valspar week. And I thought, that's odd, Valspar week. Like, are we moving events back? Where are things falling in? And then it got announced shortly thereafter that Valspar is moving into the Bay Hill time slot.
Well, because now it's going to go, and this is looking interesting because I'm looking at this right now. It's going to go Valspar, probably Bay Hill, the Players.
No, there's a week
then
in
the
between.
PGA Championship.
I mean the Masters.
Oh, the Masters. Sorry, the Masters.
No,
No, it says
there's a
first
week in between
May
Valspar
as the final
and
regular
Bay
event ahead of the PGA Championship.
No,
that's what it says the Valspar will be.
The Valspar is slotted for the first week in March.
No, May 3rd through the 9th.
So we're moving.
The Valspar is moving to May, and the Byron Nelson will move up a week and follow the Zurich in New Orleans.
Oh, it is May.
Yeah. The tour flipped longtime Orlando stop to 2 weeks later on the calendar after the Players. So this is where it gets interesting. You'll have the Players, then Bay Hill, and you know what's the same week as Bay Hill now?
Spring break.
March Madness will go up against Bay Hill. So let me put this into perspective. Liv is canceling an event that is going up against the World Cup, which is a one every 4-year event. But the PGA is saying, hey, we're going to take on the biggest basketball event that has a month named after it with Bay Hill.
St. Patrick's Day.
You and I and Dave love Bay Hill because it's been something that we've gone to a lot in our lives because of living in Orlando. We have a lot of history with that event. We've been there for a lot of special moments there. We've gotten to know a lot of people at Bay Hill, some of the players for this. And Bay Hill is a special event for Orlando. It is a fun event that goes on every year there. It's one of those events that brings that kind of city together. The same way I say Harbortown, and Harbortown does this better than Bay Hill, I think, of bringing the community together. But it's a bigger community in Orlando. Yeah. Exactly. It's 100%.
Smaller golf community in Hilton Head. But yes, I would agree with that.
Well, no, it's a bigger golf community in Hilton Head. But I mean,
smaller community. But it's a golf community.
Yes, it's a big it's a big golf community, but in a smaller area. But that's why, because it's a social event of the year. But it is also at Bay Hill. It's a social event. It's a fun event to go to. You run into people that you see. a lot. It's kind of like going to the PGA show every year, in a sense, going to
Yep.
Bay Hill. But now you're putting it in March Madness. That's a risky move, in my opinion. And it's after the players. And Steve, you said this. I'm going to let you talk about this. Do you think that players will still respect the history of R&A and after the players come to Bay Hill?
I'm going to hope that the players were consulted on this move, is what I'm going to ask.
Okay.
Because when you think about it, because now that's going to put, let's look at it. I'm going to hope that the players had a conversation about this and said, let's move. I don't think they like going from Orlando to Jacksonville to have to, they get their teeth kicked in at Bay Hill, right? Like, you get abused at Bay Hill.
Well, you're going north, then going south.
Well, but hear me out on this. So I'm going to hope that the players said, listen, we'd rather go show up at Sawgrass and then go to Bay Hill. And I'm hoping that came from the players and from the pack, is what I'm hoping for. Because at that point, I feel like if the players in the pack said, hey, let's flip-flop Bay Hill and this, I got no problem with it. The problem that I run into is that Jacksonville is not a, and I know this from firsthand because I went to college.
This coming from a guy who went to college in Jacksonville, so I'll take your word for it.
So it's not a huge spring break destination. You got to get further south for spring break destinations. You got to get to Daytona. You got to get down the I-4 corridor and south for spring break destinations, unless you go to Panama City. So Jacksonville's not a huge spring break destination. You move Bay Hill back, and now you run into literally the middle of spring break in Orlando.
Yep.
So
now, could that be a good thing from a perspective of getting more people to the tournament because they're on spring break? They're more likely to come to it, and you're not just getting Central Orlando.
Bay Hill sells out every year. We're not worried about Bay Hill and selling tickets.
I get that.
It's Bay Hill.
But
I don't know. Like, I have bigger problems that I'm hearing about this new tour schedule that's coming out in these track 1 and these track 2 events. I don't mind moving Valspar to May, other than, and it's early May, so you're like, all right, not terrible idea. I would rather see, and I may get chastised for this, but I do think, Cali Golf or Bay Hill's a great place. We should all go play it someday. I would rather see Pebble Beach get moved so they don't run into the weather problems they typically run into at Pebble Beach early in the year, and move Pebble back, then move Valspar to May. That's just my. I feel like from a tour scheduling standpoint, like, you've run into so many problems at Pebble Beach. I feel like every 3 to 4 years you run into a problem of, can you finish the golf tournament? It's now a signature event. I really want to see us finish Pebble Beach. And that's where I feel like, especially with it now being a signature event, that needs to be a priority versus moving Valspar to May, being the week before the PGA Championship. Also, I don't think you've done Valspar any favors by moving it there. It was in a crappy time slot to begin with because you were coming off of Bay Hill signature event, the players, and then you got to go to Valspar, and you're working on your timing leading up to the Masters. So now you move it to the week before the PGA, coming to Florida the week before the PGA. I get next year, not a bad idea, because by that point, the course will be fine. You can do what you want to do with it in May. I just think that they need to really take a long, hard look at, is that the right time slot for Valspar? I don't think it is. I really don't.
So Steve, let me ask you this, because I think we've seen this in the past where the PGA has moved events around. Like Harbortown is one that they have moved because people were like, oh, it's right after the Masters and no one comes. to Harbor Town. So they moved it
Mhm.
years back, and they didn't see any change. They decided to move it back, started getting more traction because a lot of players realized, oh, this is an easy trip to
Mhm.
go from Augusta to Hilton Head. It's a really short 2.5 hour trip. So their families liked it. Then they made it a signature event. Do you think some of these moves could be that, like, hey, we're going to move this, see if it changes anything, and then maybe 2028 we move it back?
I think there's some bigger challenges that you face. We got our first question on Instagram about our attire tonight, by the way.
Yes, we are in a scramble that is going to shoot a 38 total, not just on the front nine.
Yes. Yip Strickler will be investigating us later.
Yes, this is our Yip Strickler attire. I don't have a white
Thanks,
belt.
Thanks, Ocala Golfer.
But you know what I do have on? I have on a belt from Golfish. And if you're looking for great golf apparel, make sure you're checking out golfish.com for apparel that'll take you from the boardroom to the golf course to the marina. Golfish for all your golfing apparel needs.
You know, I wore some Golfish, and we could take it from a galaxy far, far away from the outer rim and back to the boardroom. Wore some there on Saturday. I'm just gonna say.
Wow. Okay.
I think the tour schedule need to take a long, hard look at a lot of things. You've got what's going to happen this year is there are 5 events in Texas. Like, if you're going to put 5 events in one state, 2 of them in Dallas, Fort Worth, 1 in Houston, 1 in San Antonio, and now we're putting a fall series event in Austin. None of those going forward are going to be the signature events or track 1 on the PGA Tour for the top players. How do you put 5 events in one state and not have a signature event there?
Well, that brings up another point too. The number 1 player in the world, his favorite event to play in his backyard was played this last week and could become a tier 2 event in this new system, which means if he's still the number 1 player in the world, might not play in it.
There are supposedly some thoughts that these guys may be told that they don't want them to play in these tier 2 events.
And that's what I'm saying. That's like,
yeah.
How do you tell the number 1 player in the world that one of his favorite events he can't play in anymore when you struggle sometimes with getting the big names at these events? So I don't know that this 2-tier system.
Here's my other thing. So let's take and let's take CJ Cup. Okay,
that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Siwoo Kim, sponsored by them. Are you going to tell Siwoo, who, by the way, lives in Dallas?
Yep.
Can't play in your home event that's sponsored by one of your sponsors? What does that do to your sponsors? Like, there are a lot of questions. If you're not going to let these guys play these events that their sponsors are putting up money for, and you want your players, you want Siwoo there, because at some point during the week, you got to take your players to your sponsoring and say, hey, guys, we need to shake hands and kiss babies. We need you to do that.
I felt this week it was an advertisement for Siwoo because everything you saw was Bibby Go or CJ Cup, and that's all was on Siwoo's attire.
Correct. So I really think that I'm going to have a hard time with them telling these guys they can't play in some of these events when they have sponsors that want them at these events.
Well, I'm going to give you another event because the RBC Corporation, RBC Bank, has the Heritage and it has the Canadian Open.
Yep.
And the Canadian Open is not a signature event and could be, I find it funny that a National Open would be a tier 2 event, but could be a tier 2 event. And the Royal Bank of Canada, which is what RBC stands for, is not backing out of the Canadian Open as a sponsor because it's the Canadian Open. So I think you're right. I think they need to look at this and say, do we stagger how many tier 1 players can come in a tier 2 event if this is the way this is going to look? So I don't know.
Quote, hey, by the way, by the way, this is the way. And if you haven't seen The Mandalorian and Grogu, go see it. It was amazing.
I have not seen it yet. I need to go see it. I've been
so
rewatching the original. I started back at the beginning to watch it. And I'm
you know what else is really good? You know what else is really good, Greg?
What's really good?
Cobra in the forefront of innovation, redefining performance with groundbreaking technology like FutureFit 33, advanced 3D printing capabilities. Every detail is engineered to fit you, providing unmatched comfort, precision, and results. Learn more about how Cobra can improve your game at cobragolf.com.
So, Steve, I want to ask you this question about one of our sponsors, Cobra, because we do love Cobra and their technology, and we've interviewed them and talked to them, and we've looked at other brands out there. I really feel Cobra and our other sponsor, Bridgestone Golf.
Right.
I feel those two golf brands are doing the most in technological innovations to help improve the game of golf, other than any other company that's out there.
Man, you are segueing in, and let's talk about Bridgestone. Dial in your game with the Bridgestone Tour B featuring Mindset. The visual cues help you focus, commit, and roll it pure. Same tour level performance, now with a smarter way to lock in. Find your fit and play the Tour B with Velo Search technology today, bridgestonegolf.com. Funny, Greg, my notepad tonight is a Mindset notepad. I'm writing on that tonight.
Yeah.
You got that there? Yeah.
I do have my Mindset notepads here somewhere. Oh, it's right here.
So
my other notes on it.
There was a story that came out last week that somebody leaked, and I don't know that somebody was supposed to leak it, but we're going to talk about it.
Let's roll it back.
There was a survey that went out to the PGA Tour players last week. And said survey asked a lot of questions about the golf ball rollback. And in those questions about the golf ball rollback, they asked some questions like, do we need to roll the golf ball back? What's your opinion of it?
No. That's my opinion of it.
We know our everyone knows our opinion of it. What skills should be tested more on the PGA Tour than it currently is? Is driving distance a problem on the PGA Tour? How effective has the USGA and R&A's rule making process and efforts been in responding to the needs of the professional game? Should the PGA Tour have its own rule-making process for both play and equipment? And have you tested any prototype golf balls expected to conform under the new conditions?
So let me ask you this with this. If driving distance was the number one factor in scores on the PGA Tour, your top 5 driving distance average, Pot Geeter, is number 1. How many events has he won this year?
0.
Exactly. He's great. He is a great player, and he will win soon. Luke, we hope he wins.
And he has an amazing caddy. If you
caddy,
go back
Luke,
and see a great interview,
and I think he's going to win.
Interview.
He's also younger. Rory McIlroy, how many events has he won this year?
2.
Michael Brennan.
1.
Gary Woodland.
1.
Chris Goddard.
2.
So the longest hitter on here hasn't won an event.
Correct. However, and let's be real, when you're comparing the top hitters on the PGA Tour in distance, driving distance doesn't, I mean, if your ball speed isn't 180 on the PGA Tour, you're going to get lapped, and you have no business being out there to begin with. Now,
but my point being here is Scotty Scheffler, the number 1 player in the world, is 30th on driving distance. 30th.
He's won once.
And the difference, his average, 312.6 versus 328.4.
I also think Scotty in his last 5 events has been beat by 5 players or something ridiculous.
Exactly.
The numbers are staggering what Scotty's done.
But even if I go to the 100th player on tour, Andrew Novak, in driving distance, 302. So a matter of 28 yards in driving distance is really the difference between number 100 and number 1.
The only event in the last 3 years that Andrew Novak has won is a team event in New Orleans with Ben Griffin.
Well, and
I will give it that.
That's true. But my point, Tommy Fleetwood is 302.4 at 99. So if you want to use somebody else.
Okay.
The only event he's ever won on the PGA Tour is the Tour Championship.
And again, I say all along, I think Tommy Fleetwood is one of the most underachieved players on the PGA Tour.
Yeah. But our point here is that they all hit it about the same.
Yep.
They all have to play the same course. They're not out there. If they were out there hitting 3-wood off the tee on every par 4, I would say, yeah, they're hitting it too far. These courses aren't made to contain them. But are they? Do you see that?
If everybody was using the Cobra DS Adapt and Future Fit technology with the Optum, that might happen.
Or they could use the mini driver, the Cobra King mini driver now.
But no, I think, again, I'm going to ask you this question. Could you imagine if Major League Baseball, and we're baseball fans here, or the NFL, we're football fans here on this show as well?
I have 2 funny statements for both of those things you just made. Because Tom Brady had Deflategate, so he rolled back the ball in the NFL.
No, but could you imagine if Major League Baseball, the NFL, NHL, the NBA allowed somebody else outside of their organization to make their rules?
It is interesting. That's the thing about golf. Golf is a kind of unique sport where it's a league, but it's more of it's the association of what it is. You're playing in as an individual, not as a team for this. So it's not a league that you're playing in. So it's a little bit different in that aspect, but it's true. I don't think the PGA should follow the USGA on this one. The USGA governs the rules of the sport, but the NBA, when they play in international events, have to follow the FIBA rules of basketball. Correct. And there are different rules that go along. So like when you play in the Olympics, there are different rules that there are things that are allowed that aren't allowed in the NBA and vice versa.
Correct.
So there's all these governing bodies that affect this. So as the tour, I think they have to look at that kind of the way the NBA does and say, hey, yes, the global organization that makes the rules, we're going to adjust for our league. And the PGA does that as well. So I think that's one where they have to look at this and say, yeah, we don't believe that that's what's best for our game. Now, let me ask you this, Steve. The rollback really only seems to be a reaction by them for professionals, but it's going to mostly impact the amateur.
Again,
what does that say about your rule?
The horse is dead. Stop kicking. I'm going to continue to kick really quickly here.
I poked the bear. I'm going to let it go.
You did. Here's my problem. You were looking at data on the top 20 drivers of the golf ball at the professional level when you have products like Arcos and SkyCaddy and all of these other products out there that you can test amateur data on how far they're hitting it. And obviously, I've got more ammunition in my fire right now in that what good is a golf ball rollback going to do when you have Cam Young hitting it 375 with a golf ball that would be conforming under the new rules on the 18th tee at the Players' Championship? I just struggle with the idea that rolling the golf ball back's the answer. You're not taking into account, again, let's make driver head smaller for tour players. We've already done that. Like that happened years ago. And now the driver market across the board is pretty standard. There are some tour models, but everybody's making multiple models of drivers now that fit every player. So then you run into the athlete. And you can't take that variable away. And I'm going to be honest with you. Craig Stadler wouldn't play on tour, just like my fat ass wouldn't either anymore. Like, again,
So
like
I'm going to
every
bring
one of these
into
guys, go to a tour event. Go to a tour event. I sat and watched my son get autographs from tour players, one after another, coming off the 18th green at Bay Hill. And every PGA Tour player has a 30-inch waist. They're all somewhere between, there's a couple outliers, Justin Thomas, Rory McIlroy, but they're all somewhere between 6 foot and 6'5". Before Tiger Woods, did we ever have a PGA Tour player that could dunk a basketball? Gary Woodland can.
I'm pretty sure John Daly can dunk a basketball.
No. But again, you're not taking the athlete into consideration. And I'll say the quiet part out loud. We got a bunch of old white guys sitting in a room saying, these guys hit it too far. That's what's going on here. And
we're the old white guys saying that that's not a thing.
But again, you have a bunch of old white guys with egos doing this.
Well, and if you really want to affect the game, look at Major League Baseball, because to be honest, if you took Aaron Judge and let him use an aluminum baseball bat, people would die. And you let Ohtani use an aluminum baseball bat. Like, they went to wood baseball bats, and over the past few years, they've talked about juiced baseballs in the baseball, which is a thing because of the way the baseball is made and wound, that you can hit it further. But they went to a uniformed, everyone has to use wood bats because you don't get the bounce off of it like you do off an aluminum baseball bat. Now, college still uses aluminum baseball bats.
They're cycled down.
Cycled
down aluminum bats. Yep.
They are, but not to what, like, even still, if a Major League Baseball player is using an aluminum baseball bat with a 103-mile-an-hour pitch coming in, you're going to kill somebody.
Here's the other thing.
So if the PGA really wants to,
you have to look at the cost, right? Like the cost at the college level for that.
Oh, that's also true because you're going through so many bats. But my point being that Major League Baseball made that decision to have wood bats, keep the game the way it was. So if the PGA wants to do something, and they're never going to do this because the equipment sales are cash cow. If I see a player using a club, I'm going to want to use that club.
Right.
Because I think it's going to be the same. It's not. We all know that, but we all dream. So this is never going to happen. So rolling back the golf ball, you're only hurting, and this was proven by, what was it, Max Homa using the new Titleist golf ball and still hitting it that fits the conforming rules.
It was
Cam Young. Sorry, Cam Young, not Max Homa. Cam Young still hitting the conforming golf ball just as far. Whereas if you and I were hitting that golf ball, we would see a difference. That's just the fact of the matter.
I got lucky. And Cam's golf ball, by the way, and I had this conversation with his dad at Bay Hill when we walked with him on Sunday. We walked with him. We were talking about his golf ball, and I said to him, he's playing that double dot, right? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, it's literally the firmest golf ball on the PGA Tour. He goes, and I'll just put in comparison. He's like, Ben Griffin's golf ball, the Max Fly that he plays, is the spinniest golf ball on tour. He goes, and he goes, Cam can't hit it anywhere. Like they did some testing together during the Ryder Cup, and Cam can't hit that golf ball. It doesn't go anywhere for him. It just spins too much. So all these golf ball manufacturers are going to come up with, and if you think Titleist has 4 golf balls right on their tour line, they have the left ash, the X, the
they
B.
sell 4 right now.
And no, they sell 3. The double dot is out there and everybody knows about it.
The left dash, Pro V1, Pro V1X, and ATP.
And the
That's 4.
AVX.
That's 4.
AVX.
AVX.
But the AVX really isn't a tour ball. It's a Champions Tour ball. Let's be real about it.
It's a pro ball. We'll give it credit.
Yeah. But if you think Titleist just has that many golf balls, don't kid yourself. Tour players can play whatever ball they want, and they will find a ball for tour players, stamp it with prototype, and they'll be able to play it. It won't matter anyway. So I think that when you look at the golf ball manufacturers, when you look at what's going on, again, somebody needs to stand up to somebody needs to stand up to the USGA and the R&A. I think they're being bullies. I really do when it comes to this. And somebody needs to stand up.
I just think they're making these gut reactions based on tour professionals and not the good of the game.
Correct. And you know what else can happen when you have distance? You need to lock in your yardage with Nikon Cool Shot rangefinders. Fast, accurate distances, slope technology, and crystal clear optics. You can pick the right club with total confidence. Nikon Cool Shot. See it, shoot it, stick it. That Nikon Cool Shot Pro 3 stabilized. That's so good.
It's so nice.
So nice. We have to do this because news came out today with his name associated with it, so we're going to give it the 3 minutes or so that it deserves. Tiger has not submitted his entry to the Open Championship, which means he will miss all 4 majors this year. Greg, are we surprised?
Surprised? No. I think this is good. We talked about this when the whole Tiger thing first happened. Tiger needs to step back. We need to give Tiger his space on this and let Tiger heal. Tiger's going through a lot. Tiger's got a lot of things to work through. We all go through stuff in our lives. He's no different, and he needs to work through this. He's made some bad choices, and he needs the help that he's getting. So I think he needs to step back for a year or two and maybe not even see him on TGL next season.
Again, I want to give this the 2 minutes it deserves because we need to talk about it in this industry. I would question, and again, I think the answer to this question is yes, because I think once he's better, we will obviously see him at Augusta. Do we see Tiger play? Okay. Do we see? I'm going to ask you this question really quickly because we have one more topic to talk about. Do we see Tiger play another competitive round in a regular tour major event?
In a major or a tour event? In a major,
all
yes.
of the above.
I think we see him
competitive. I mean competitive. I mean like his name's like he's threatening to make. He's going to make the cut and threaten to play in the golf tournament on the weekend.
Those are two different questions. Making the cut and threatening on the weekend. I think, will he make a cut one more time? Yes. Do I think it'll be at Augusta? 100%. I think Augusta is the place where it would happen.
Yep.
I think Tiger needs to now step back and be more of that voice for the PGA Tour and maybe the PGA of America as well, and be that sounding body of helping to grow the game that he has single-handedly brought to the stage it's at. He made golf what it is today, just like Arnie and Jack made it back in their day. He's the next coming of that. And I think he needs to continue that now and continue to promote the sport and hand it off to the next player, like a Scotty or a Rory or whoever is next in the future, that it could be. I don't see him caddying, Eric, but I think his knees might not let him do that. But yeah, I think that's what needs to happen next. So I think
you know where it could come from.
Major.
You know where it could come from.
Where
you handing it off to? A young player learning how to play the game, and if your young player wants to learn how to play the game, get your young golfer started right with Upswing Golf and their full lineup of clubs designed for proper fit, real performance, and serious fun. Upswing Golf, grow like a pro.
Every day my son asks, can we go out back and hit golf balls?
Yeah.
And he wants to use those Upswing clubs because he absolutely loves them. So make sure if you want your kid to grow with the game, Upswing has lines for boys and girls. It is perfect for any young golfer. All right.
Let's. All right. I think also that inevitable moment of the show where we have to talk about one more topic before we go. There are reports circulating that the LIV players might be investing $150 million of their own money into the league to keep it afloat next year.
So here's the thing. I think that's if they're going to do that, that's good. But like I've said over the past few weeks, if they're going to do this, they really have to change a lot of things. They really have to look at their budget and say, hey, we're going to have to scale things back. Steve, you were telling me a number before. How much are they spending a month on the LIV Tour?
So that's my question. So here's my question. Ryan Lavner from the Golf Channel put an article on the Golf Channel on golfchannel.com that talked about the fact that LIV is spending $100 million a month aka 1.2 billion a year. I'm going to use my numbers fact that I work in the mortgage industry every day. They're spending $1.2 billion a year, $100 million a month right now on running their events. So if you're going to spend $100 million a month and you think you can scale this back and be successful with $250 million, to me, it tells me one thing. And I'm going to say this. If the live players want to invest $150 million of their own money into this, it tells me a couple things. It tells me they've reached out to the PGA Tour, and the PGA Tour has told them, here's your road back, and it's not going to be nice like Brooks Scott.
No. And they said that when they offered that other package. They said it's going to be a different package if you don't take this now.
Correct. And I think they have told some of these guys that their road back is not going to be as easy as Brooks's was.
I think they've told some of these players no. Also. I think there are a few they have said no.
I think there's 6 guys that they've told, here's your pathway back. And I think there's now 57 players, 58 players on live. So that means let's just say there's 58. Yeah. That means there's 52 other guys that they've told no. So these guys don't have a home.
They're in panic mode. I think that's what this is.
Correct, because they know that they're, again, Bryson's comment last week of, well, I don't know if I want to play golf professionally or if I want to be a content creator full time.
I like Bryson's comment of, I didn't see this coming. That was today.
Man, neither did the night watchman on the Titanic.
Well, they saw it coming just a little late.
Iceberg right ahead.
And DJ's comment of long live golf. Like, I think they are in panic mode. I think they are in self-preservation mode at this point. So I think we bring up this topic, and we got a lot more to talk about. I think maybe next week we talk about this a little bit more. Let's get into
I think. You know what I think really quickly, and I'm just going to throw this out there. I think now that the PIF isn't involved, it's actually nice to hear these guys say non-scripted answers and actually give their opinion.
Yes. And that's, I think, hopefully this will be all for the best in the future. But all right, last but not least, making our picks this week. I almost got the win last week. My guy came in second place. And
you're picking last.
So it means I'm picking last. I almost picking first because I almost got another win. But Wyndham stole that from me like a locker at Oakmont. So Steve, you get to pick first this week for the Charles Schwab Challenge at Colonial Country Club.
In
Great Fort Worth, Texas.
I really took a long, hard look at Ludwig this week.
Okay.
I took a long look at Ben this week.
Okay.
Also a past champion there this week in Davis Riley. I took a long look at. Give me Zach Boshu.
Oh, okay.
Riding the heater. I'm taking it.
All right. Well, with that, Dave gave me his pick at number 2. And so he gave me 2 picks. He said JT first and then Ricky. I kind of want to give him Ricky. I was hoping you'd take JT. I wanted him to go back to the Ricky Fowler report, but he's taking JT this week. So Justin Thomas is going to Dave. I wrote this name down, and I was hoping none of you would go with my pick, and none of you did. He played amazing at the PGA Championship, the last event he played in. But give me Alex Smalley.
Ooh,
He's been playing well.
I like it.
He's been playing well the past few weeks, and I think he's going to continue it. All right. Let us know what you think in the comments of our picks of everything we talked about today, and we'll be back next week, everybody. Have a great. All right, guys. What a round today. Cheers.
Cheers.
So